What's going on, everybody? It is the legendary LaShant here, and I have an interesting conundrum, and I guess that's why I'm making this video, because I'm kind of just wondering, is like anybody else like out there feeling something similar? Let me provide a little bit of context, right? So we're about a week away from the Street Fighter 6 beta, right? And hats off, round of applause, confetti, spaghetti, sugar spice and everything nice to Capcom, because that beta was such a slam dunk that it didn't even matter that the game was crashing on me like every 3 matches or so. That didn't even matter. I just wanted to get back in there and play the game because it was so much fun, right? Like over the weekend I heard people talking trash about Jamie and stuff like that, and about how people thought that he was like the worst out of all the characters, and people talking about Kimberly and about how Kimberly players eat glue and all this other stuff, right? And it was hilarious. Like, this beta was an experience, right? And it's been a long time since I've said that like a Capcom fighting game was an experience, right? Like Street Fighter 4 all the way up to Ultra was definitely an experience, right? Now, whether you like that experience or not, that's definitely your decision, but it was definitely an experience. And I'm not going to be one of those people that's just like, oh, Street Fighter 5 is still terrible, it still sucks, it's still horrible. Definitely not, right? 100% not. As a matter of fact, this game is in such good condition that it is amazing to see how far they come, but that's just the problem, is where the game is right now. The game feels like this is what Street Fighter 5 should have started out as. Like, this is where Street Fighter 5 should have started. It should have started with 2 V triggers. It should have started with 2 V skills. It should have, or you know what, just do 2 V shifts, 2 V triggers and 2 V skills, right? Because this game has always had a problem with personality and identity. It has always felt like it doesn't let people identify themselves within the game, right? There was a mechanic in Street Fighter 4 that allowed you to identify yourself. There were so many options once you got focus, and then focus dash canceling and everything else, right? And then red focus. So there was a clear established foundation. When Street Fighter 5 came out, there was no foundation, and I've been playing this game through and through. I've been playing it since it first came out, since there was Zenny, since it didn't have a story mode, since you would go online, you think you're going to get a match, and then oops, disconnected from the server. Oh, that didn't work. I've been playing this game for a really long time, right? And now, it is definitely fun. It is definitely fun, right? But now, this is the whole point of this video, and anybody, please, especially because I'm going to post this to Twitter, and then I guess in the FGC spaces and all that other stuff, please tell me if you feel any type of semblance of what I'm feeling. But after the Street Fighter 6 beta, like, it's really hard for me to continuously play Street Fighter 5. Again, not because it's a bad game, but when I go back to Street Fighter 5, it feels so constrictive. Like, my experience with playing Street Fighter 5, right? So let me set a little bit more context. I've been playing Street Fighter, I was born in 1996, and literally I've been playing Street Fighter since I was 5, right? When I was 5, I would go to my barbershop, and in the barbershop, it would have Street Fighter Alpha 3, where at first, I was a Blanca player because I could just mash on punch and get electric. I could get a special move, right? And then I would be pressing back, and then I would mistakenly press forward in the button, and then I started doing the Blanca ball, right? But then I saw Cody, and I was like, yo, this dude is dope. He is so strong that he just breaks out of prison whenever he wants. And then I saw his animation, his win animation, where after he wins, the cops start chasing him around, and then he kicks the cop off the screen. Like, I loved it, right? So I've been playing Street Fighter for, a pretty long time. And then after Alpha 3, my friend had Street Fighter 2 on the Sega Genesis, and I played it over his house, right? And then later on, much later on, actually when I was in middle school, my friend had he got, what was it? He got Third Strike on a computer emulator, right? So we was playing Third Strike on a computer, not on controllers, mind you, on keyboard. On keyboard, we were playing Third Strike. It was really weird and it was very bad, but. And then, of course, when Street Fighter 4 came out, it was amazing. And then when Super Street Fighter 4 came out and I saw that my main man Cody was back, I was ecstatic, right? And then Street Fighter 5 happened. And at first I was like, okay, this is cool. And then I started playing, I think I started playing Rashid at first. And then I kind of jumped off of Rashid. And then I went to Laura. And now Laura has a lot of different options. Right, with her electric and with her setups and stuff, Laura has a lot of different options. But even though I was playing her and I got wins with Laura, I felt weird because it felt like too much. If that makes any sense, like it felt like I was not convinced by my wins. If that makes any sense, right? And then, Arcade Edition happened, right? Arcade Edition happened, and then my main man, Cody, was back. We was back in here, baby. And first day, playing Cody, I'm like, okay, Ruffian Kick is interesting. Doesn't go as far and stuff like that. Has some interesting properties, and then I'm like, okay, so they very clearly changed some stuff. And then I'm like, okay, well, let's try to use Zonk Knuckle. Let's see if that goes through fireballs, right? No, it doesn't go through fireballs. It doesn't go through fireballs anymore, and it makes sense because fireballs are generally not very good in Street Fighter V. So it makes sense, right? So I was just like, okay, well, that's cool. Is there any other special property to replace the fact that it did go through fireballs, something that made it special and something where especially it was invincible, so you couldn't just throw out a bunch of buttons? No, it's just a move. It's just a regular move. There's no type of special properties to it or anything like that. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's cool, but, I still got Criminal Upper, right? One of the main reasons why I liked Cody the first time that I saw him, because I was like, yo, this dude is so strong that he is uppercutting tornadoes. That's so sick. They took that away from him. And, the little details in Cody is what I like about him. I like that in the fact, in this world where people are chucking plasma, this dude breaks the plasma apart by throwing a pebble. By throwing a rock. He hurls the rock so fast and with so much power that it just negates the effects of Hadouken. I love that, right? The fact that he's uppercutting tornadoes, it is amazing, right? The type of normals that Cody had in Street Fighter 4, like with his little forward heavy, the little hop kick that he did, and the way that it could link into, a medium ruffian kick, it was dope. No Criminal Upper. And to throw, in my opinion, insult into injury, let's make him throw tornadoes now. And then to put the icing on the insult cake, let's make his super a Criminal Upper. Just a gigantic Criminal Upper, right? That's Cody right there. There you go. This is supposed to be Cody after, right, in his story where he finally gets his redemption. He's out of prison and Hagar has handed him the keys to the city and he's mayor now, right? And it's like, you took so much away from him. That has been my experience with Street Fighter V. And then, of course, Cody got, his V-trigger was cool, I guess. It was an invincible, anti-air type of move, and that's cool because Cody didn't have any other invincible moves, so I guess that was cool, but I was like, that's not really something that I would really want as a Cody fan. But then they came out with, the V-Skills and the V-Trigger 2s, which was, it was cool. And a lot of people, when V-Trigger 2 first came out, they didn't use it all that much because in my opinion, they didn't want to put in the time to actually figure out how to use it. But I did. I was using it because it reminded me of Cody's Zonk Knuckle, right? It reminded me of when it went through fireballs, of when you could duck fireballs and everything else. It reminded me of that. So I actually used it. And I used his V-Trigger 2 because I really liked I really liked him being able to use the pipe to be able to chuck rocks and everything, and I really liked the setups that you could do with the rocks and the fact that it gave him so much more range and everything. I really liked that, right? But even still, The game always felt like you have to play the character this way. This is how the character is meant to be played, and this is how it's meant to be played in specific matchups, right? And if you don't play this type of way, a lot of times it felt like you were being punished almost, because the thing about it is, like in Street Fighter 4, Cody was like a rushdown character, right? But I didn't play Cody that way. I was a very defensive Cody where I looked a lot of times for fireballs. I would try to get in with normals. I would act like I would set up a rushdown game, but then whenever, like, you know, one of the Shotos would get far enough away, I was holding that medium punch button because I know they wanted to chuck some plasma, and then I could get right through it and punish them for throwing a fireball, right? And I couldn't do any of that. Like, I had to, after a certain point, I had to be like really, really offensive with Cody, and I didn't want to. But it felt like if I didn't do it, I was going to be punished for not doing it, right? And that was really constricting. So now we go back a week to the Street Fighter 6 beta. And first of all, the game is running buttery smooth online. Now, granted, the game is crashing on the PS5 system, but the game online, my matches are smooth, and on top of that, one of the matches that I had that at first, the first round was a little choppy and stuff like that. It seemed like there was kind of like a delay. The second round, it rolled right back, and it literally fixed itself, which was amazing. And then I'm in practice mode. I'm trying all these different characters, and even though there's some that I vibe with more than others, shout out to my man Jamie, everybody feels like it feels like an open world of possibilities. Like the drive system makes so much sense. All the little nuances of what you want to do, right? So it's like everybody's goal is to not get in burnout, right? To not get burnt out and to try to put your opponent into burnout. Try to waste their resources, right? But the way of which you can go about doing that is completely up to you. If you want to use drive impact to try to drain their meter, you can. If you want to just chuck fireballs and make them block a bunch to drain their meter, you can. If you want to wait for them to drive impact, then you can do that. Heck, if you don't care about your meter and you want to be a combo master and you just want to use drive rush the whole entire time to extend your combos, then you can do that. And of course, you have to deal with the consequences, right? You definitely got to deal with the consequences. And in my opinion, like, you know, a lot of people are saying like once you are burnt out, that's pretty much it. Not necessarily. Now, if you're burnt out, if you're in the corner and you have no super bar whatsoever, then yeah, you're probably done. But if you have 3 stacks of super bar and you're playing like a Ryu, a Chun, heck, even Jamie with his level 1, it's a multi-hitting move, right? You're not done if you're in the middle of the stage. Now, your goal is definitely not to get put in the corner and to save that super bar for, like, you know, them trying to push you into the corner with drive impact. But the point is that you have so much freedom. You have so much freedom to pick a character, which there are a plethora of, that are all slam dunks. There are no fangs in here. There are no weird Nakalis, even though Nakali, I guess there were people that were playing him in the beginning and he was alright. Like, you know, there wasn't like a weird birdie character of this character doesn't really seem like really valuable and everything. Because the thing with Jamie is, Jamie just takes a little bit more work. But once Jamie gets like up to 2 drinks, it gets a little bit tricky because he has normals that leads into him getting more drinks. And so once he gets those 2 drinks, it's very easy for him to get up to 4, in my opinion, right? And then even putting that aside, with the way that the drive system was implemented, it was literally, it's so evident how thought out that it was, right? So back to the point of this video. So of course now the beta's over. And now we're a week out, right? And the game feels like the pacing feels more Third Strike-like, but the combo system and the way that normals kind of connects feels a lot like Street Fighter V. So I'm like, okay, so, you know, getting my Street Fighter V in and making sure that, like, you know, I try to get my links tight, like, you know, doing all that stuff, playing in the neutral, trying to get that mindset and everything. I want to make sure that I get that down. So I've been playing, right? And it's been tough. It's been very tough playing Street Fighter Five because it felt like literally, and I've been winning my matches. I think I was on like a 5 game streak, and it was getting hard to play the game because it's like, the options were so, it felt so constricting. Like going back to Cody, and of course you have V shift, and V shift is nice, and V reversals and stuff like that, but coming from Street Fighter 6 and going back to 5, it's getting not getting, it's tough. It's tough for me to continue to play the game because of how constrictive and how it feels like it takes away so much freedom. And again, I'm not one of those people that's just like, oh, Street Fighter 5 still sucks. It's still the crappy game that it was when it came out. It's definitely a good game. But the problem is that it feels like Street Fighter 5 still needs to be expanded upon to give people more individuality of how they want to play. And that's what Street Fighter 6 hit out of the park. The fact that you use the drive system the way that you want to. Forget about whatever character. Like, whatever character you play, that's the character you play. But the drive system itself, you use it the way that you want. And it's very hard to go back to Street Fighter 5 and just be like, okay, well, here are your options. You could build V-Trigger and use your V-Trigger, right? Or you can V-Reversal to get people off of you. But if you use V-Reversal to get people off of you, then you won't have V-Trigger. Or you can try to use your V-Skill, right? But your V-Skill may not be something that's really valuable. So, that is what it is, but you just got to deal with it. It's very hard to go back to that. I don't know. Leave a comment below. Tell me if I'm just out of my mind, if I'm crazy, if I'm not making any sense, but that's just how I feel. I don't know.